Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the DLC Drop Podcast. Today it's my pleasure to have Ryan and Eric Cruz. They are brothers and co-founders of MUVEZ Footwear. They're going to tell the story about how they came up with this idea for a new shoe concept, how they brought it to fruition, and then brought it to the Shark Tank. They've got a lot to share here on their entrepreneurial journey as well. Let's talk to Eric and Ryan. Drop in the untold stories of industry leaders, influencers, and insights on future innovation. I'm John Davidson, and this is the DLC Drop Podcast. All right, it is my pleasure to welcome Ryan and Eric, brothers and co-founders of MUVEZ Footwear, to the DLC Drop Podcast. Guys, thank you for joining me.
It's our pleasure. Thanks for having us, John.
Absolutely. So you guys reached out to me on Instagram after seeing one of the previous episodes. Really appreciate that. And I've done a lot of research on your brand. I've got to know you guys a little bit over the course of a few phone calls, looking into the brand, how you built this. So why don't you tell our audience to start out, tell us in your own words, what is MUVEZ Footwear?
All right. So MUVEZ Footwear is a convertible slipper that's able to go travel outside with you for quick trips. And it's able to do that from a detachable outsole. So if you see this right here, it looks like a sneaker when you're out and about, but it's actually a slipper. This outsole comes off and you're able to be in your slippers. And then when you got to go for a quick trip, you just kind of slide into your outsoles, pop in, and you can head out with your full system here. Yeah,
that's incredible. And for our audio audience, Ryan showed the shoe and just pulled the outsole right off. And it's super cool how you've created something that is super comfortable inside, but also durable, wearable outside. Where did the idea stem for this originally?
Yeah, that was the concept, to be, comfortable and at the same time durable. And it all started back when I was in college. I went to NJIT. I studied industrial design, which is almost like product design. And they tasked us for my senior thesis to invent or reinvent a consumer product. So, I talked to Eric about my project and we started brainstorming, and we took a look at a pair of our dad's slippers and saw how he was constantly wearing them in and out of the house. They get destroyed. We have to buy one every year. We're like, plus no one was really paying attention to the slipper market. Sneakers were very high end and everyone was focusing their attention there, but we were like, slippers could be cool. We just have to try to make them cool. We can make them a little more exciting, and that's what we try to do. And when we were in the process of making the world's coolest, most comfortable and best slipper, we thought, maybe it would be great if they would be able to travel outside with you for quick trips. And that's when the detachable sole came about. And once that happened, we were like, okay, we really have something special here.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you were studying this in school, and it's a school project. You took a real life experience with your family and took that on for your project. Eric, what were you doing at the time? And when Ryan brought this to you, what was your reaction to that?
I was really excited about the possibility. I mean, I've always had an affinity for footwear, even since when I was a young kid. So just being in the footwear space was super exciting. And then when we started developing and the product just began to evolve and re-evolve and take shape, it was just really interesting to see a product that, was derived from inspiration and certainly fits a need, but continued to show different iterations, and those that we shared who were close to us, the product and the versatility and functionality behind it seemed to share in an equal excitement. So we knew that there was something special that come about, but there was very little experience on both sides of the production manufacturing end. So I believe at the time I could have been in grad school at the time. Okay. And I was just excited. So the day of Ryan's presentation, I called out of work. I was in attendance for his presentation to the professor while among the other classroom students who were also tasked with the same similar project. And Ryan can take it from there, but again, whatever the statement that how he recollects is pretty accurate because I was there and I can attest. So.
Now, what are the different roles that you guys play in the company? You're both co-founders, but do you have kind of collaborative experience and skill sets, or are you kind of doing the same thing, but you've got extra bandwidth?
Well, we definitely have a shared vision and we know where we want to take the company. So we're always, in communication and trying to be on the same page with everything. But as far as disciplines go, I'm more the creative side. I handle the design, product design, website stuff, content creation, whereas Eric is more business. He's logistics. He's, partnerships, just
operations, hiring. I allow the business to thrive in the business area so that Ryan can focus purely on design and creative storytelling, because that's, an integral part of the marketing concept. So just allowing Ryan's strength to really show and not be hindered by any weaknesses. And, I'm also allowed that same luxury. I can focus, on the current state of the business and the overall health.
That's awesome. I always encourage people to collaborate with people who have complementary skill sets. So like if you're a designer, you're a creative, go connect with somebody who's got the business side or vice versa. And it's cool to see that happening in the same family. So have you guys always had that mindset of when I see a problem, create the solution? Or was this something that uniquely this class pushed you forward to do?
Yeah, I think I've always had that. Just in the back of my mind was always thinking of ways to do things that are more effective or just an easier way to do things. And when I heard about the industrial design program and how it was product design based and I can create these products to make life easier, I jumped all over. I was like, yeah, that's for me. And luckily I did. And it wasn't until the end of that I thought about this MUVEZ idea. But throughout the whole process, it was just fun to be able to create products that help make life people's easier.
Yeah. And for me, it was more of the option or the accessibility to control my own destiny. I take full ownership of my life and how I dedicate and spend my time. And the only really way to achieve that entirely is being an entrepreneur or a small business owner, where you're more in control of decisions making and not just your life, but how your career.
Yeah, I heard somebody say one time that the benefits of being an entrepreneur is not riches, it's freedom.
Yeah.
And, obviously we all hope that we're able to pay our bills with this. But, yeah, I kind of tongue-in-cheek, you say, like, yeah, I choose whatever 14 to 16 hours a day I want to work.
Yeah.
The man doesn't make me do that.
Yeah.
In fact, what was really interesting, I get myself into all sorts of things. So I have my company, and then I work with a number of companies outside of that in addition to the podcast. And I had lunch with a friend the other day who I used to work with. He's now at a VP at a big company. And he was like, John, how do you have the time to do all of these things, right? And then he went ahead and started telling me everything his bosses tasked him to do, all the teams he had to lead, all the initiatives that were under him. I was like, bro, how do you have the time to do all that stuff? The difference is I choose to do it versus somebody else choosing you to do it. So talk a little bit about that. I'm sure that, man, growing this company from nothing to where it is today and to go much further, I'm sure it's a ton of work, but I mean, you have the passion, you're choosing to do that. What difference does that make rather than somebody tasking you with this without your decision?
For me, it's more about prioritization. So you're in the corporate world. A lot of the managers or upper level executives don't have a firm understanding of the daily operation, so they'll prioritize tasks where there's a degree of importance that you should be applying to a certain project, but it's being overlooked because it doesn't fit their scope. So for me, like, it's imperative for me to understand what the operation needs in the list of priority, and me being able to manage those tasks appropriately, so nothing gets overlooked. To making sure that I'm extending a bit of patience in some areas, and I'm not losing sight of the small tasks that really are almost an aggregate to your success. So outside of being able to collaborate with internal business partners, it's also an ability to not let things slip through the cracks. And making sure that you're on top of the paperwork, you're on top of following up, because people, if you're trying to collab with somebody outside of your brand, you want to make sure that you're presenting them with very descriptive responsibilities and tasks and requests so that they can help you facilitate whatever it is that you're requesting, and not just come unorganized. So we like to be very cognizant of people's time. We make sure that we're prioritizing tasks, and our follow-up is next level. I make sure that I'm always on top of whatever I say I'm going to do. And I make sure that's reciprocated on both sides.
Yeah, and I think it really comes down to having that passion. This is a passion project, and because of that, it makes us, make sure we're getting things done, but also think of new ways and better ways to do things. This way, we're constantly moving forward.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs say, you know, I'd be doing this if I wasn't get paid. And there's a lot of strength in that because, you know, when you get up, you go to work in the morning, it's not like, I got to do this again. It's like, no, I want to do it. And what a blessing to be able to have the opportunity to make money doing it.
Yeah. And every day is different, you know?
That's true. That's true. And Eric, you make a good point. I was thinking, how many times have we complained about bosses who were like, man, my boss has no idea what this job really takes.
Yeah.
But if you're your own boss, you do very much have an idea. And my brother, he told me this one time when I started my own business. He said, John, I'll tell you the good things and the bad things about being an entrepreneur. The good thing is you can't get fired. The bad news is maybe you should be.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
Harder than others. Yeah, some days are harder than others for sure.
So take me to this. So you guys created this idea. It's a school project, but man, going from a school project, something on paper that you're pitching a professor, you're pitching fellow college kids, that's a whole lot different than having that shoe in your hands that you just showed us. And so take me through when you decided we're really going to do this. Holy crap, if you told me, John, start a shoe company, I don't even know where I would start. So why don't you tell our audience where you would start?
Tell me about the bus.
Oh yeah, so this is quite a story. So I guess the journey through entrepreneurship was something that I did initially or voluntarily embark on. I feel like it was kind of fate and destiny kind of intertwining itself in my life. So,
cool.
You know, I had a corporate job. I had relocated to a different state. And at that time in my life, I just wasn't willing to make that commitment. Then I then transitioned to a completely different industry where I knew nothing of, but I wasn't confident as, you know, I'm a quick learner and if I'm interested in the project or discipline, I can absorb information pretty quick and just, you know, become experienced in a short amount of time. So yeah. I'm on the bus, I'm going to this job and I'm scrolling through Instagram and then boom, I see this product who resembles our product's functionality and versatility. And I'm like, my heart just like drops to my stomach. I'm like, oh my God, we've been waiting all this time. We knew that we should have acted sooner. We've acted too late. And now there's someone that's like approaching our territory.
Oh, no.
So, you know, I do investigation. That's one thing about myself, which I've realized over the course of a couple of years. I've become obsessive on certain subjects. So I'm like, okay, I need to know everything about this company. Who are they? Who's the founders? What product differentiation are they bringing in the market? So I do all my recon and I'm just like, damn, like, okay, they're a real product. They have the dual sole functionality. Yeah, it's not, you know, it wouldn't meet ours in terms of superiority, but you know, they're in market. So they're a couple steps ahead of us already. We're already behind the 8 ball. And then but they're overseas. But yet, you know, with DTC, you can sell goods anywhere in the world. So I already knew that was a threat. So, you know, I call my brother. I'm like, Rye, like, it pains me to tell you this, but there's a company and a brand that's doing something that we've always dreamt of doing. It seems like now they're approaching the States because I'm hearing wind that there's going to be a slow rollout in a couple stores. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I don't know about you, but if there was ever a time in our lives to do this, I think I was 26 at the time with like no kids. I think I was living at home still. I was saving up to buy 2 families, so I had a little money in the bank. I'm like, if there was ever time and opportunity to do this, like I think it's right now. So my first project happened to be in the city working on a Keds showroom. So like my first project in construction happened to be in the footwear industry. Like this is crazy. You know, like there's no other sign. I feel like God's telling me that I really need to pursue this 100%.
That's awesome.
So then shortly after that phone call, maybe a couple of weeks, not more than a month, I resigned. And then we just started really creating the groundswell, reaching out to friends and family. You could probably take it from here, but
basically that's how we're really, you know, that's what really motivated us to get it going is that fact we saw a competitor doing something similar and we were like, okay, we could do it way better and, you know, they're not going to beat us to the American market. So that's why we jumped in.
That's also incredible. A concept, you know, and they were growing relatively quickly. They were selling, they couldn't keep inventory on shelves long enough.
Okay.
So they're alone had proved that the concept was interesting to markets. And that, you know, the market had validated the versatility and functionality. So all we needed to do was just bring something to market that was superior. It sounds easy and simple in theory, but
No, it doesn't. I
You
have
know,
a bunch of
figuring
questions.
figuring out, who, like, where do I go now? What do I do? We started leveraging our contacts, figuring out who knew because my parents don't have background in production or manufacturing by any stretch. So
Yeah.
we started leveraging our contacts. Okay, who do we know? Like, who's doing something remotely similar to being an entrepreneur, small business owner at the time in 2014, 2015? Like, being an entrepreneur really wasn't a hot topic. Like, yeah, it was spoken about, but like, it really wasn't a prevalent conversation where people were like taking that in college and like really aspiring to be an entrepreneur.
Sure.
It just was a conversational point. Like, oh, it'd be cool if I did X, but never really thought that it could really be a reality.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have a lot of contacts who were doing this kind of stuff. So we found someone who recommended that we speak to someone in New York that he could do it locally. And that was just a fail. He was just sourcing common materials and blending together. Really didn't provide the concept and the dream that we had envisioned. So then we leveraged another contact in China. We tried to work with a broker and like more or less an intermediary. They just have a relationship with Chinese manufacturing, but not from footwear. So we only got so far with the factory until we're like, listen, the factory, after sending them the deposit for financing for molds, samples, renderings, 3D drawings, they're like, this is impossible. Like, this has never been, and it's never been done before. So we're like, we can't do this. So we were like, damn, all that time, all that money, all the time is what really hurt. The money hurt too, but time is a commodity that you can't really put a price on it. So we're like, damn, we lost all that time. And then it got to a point where we may have struck out one more time. And then I was like, okay, like, we really got to focus because we're not going to get it done this. So we can't cut any corners. We really have to understand, the nuances of the sneaker industry. We have to involve ourselves with experts in the field so that we can better understand, the procedures and processes. Because at that point we were really inexperienced. So simply, I leveraged a few websites. A couple of people had reached out to me on Upwork and Fiverr, and then we met the right people at the right time who introduced us to the right factories. And that's pretty much how it started.
That's incredible. That's a story of resourcefulness and a great network, right? And so I think throughout my career, I've thought, before I was more experienced, and even still today, there's some things where I think like, man, I don't have these hard skills, right? Or I don't feel like I'm in the place where I want to be or have that confidence. And honestly, I think 9 times out of 10, if I was going to hire somebody or I was going to invest in somebody, it's somebody who, even if they haven't done it, you can see they have that resourcefulness and that drive, that curiosity to figure out how to do it, whether that's them doing it or finding people in their network and ways to get it done. Would you agree with that based on your experience?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. I feel like that's an undervalued skill set that really isn't spoken about much, but can make all the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, that drive goes a really long way. So then at some point you said, let's get on Shark Tank. And so I think that's so cool that you guys were on there. I have some friends involved with Shark Tank as well, with one of those sharks. But tell me about that process. How did that idea come up? And if somebody wants to get on that show, how do you do that?
So after finally making the product and bringing it to market, we were just doing everything we can to try to get sales. Like, as first-time business owners, we're like, all right, the process of making the shoe was super hard. And we're like, once we got over that hurdle and we got some shoes to the States, that's it. They're going to fly off the shelves and everyone's going to love us. Everyone's going to run to the website.
That's how it works, right? Yeah.
Tomorrow we're going to be on Ellen and it's all good.
Yeah. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. There are some growing pains and learning how to run marketing and do all that and get attention to the brand. So, like I said, we're trying to do everything we can, pop-up shops, events, and just online marketing and running ads. And for a while, it was hard because we weren't really getting the reciprocation that we thought we deserved as a product. But then we didn't have like that stamp of approval yet. But as soon as we got the call from Shark Tank, we knew that that'd be on its way. So because we were starting to do some online marketing and running ads, luckily, not too many people saw it, but the right person saw it. Someone that does casting for Shark Tank saw us, reached out to us. We didn't.
Oh wow, they reached out to you.
Yeah, they sent an email, and at the time, that we thought the same. We're like, wait a minute, that doesn't really happen. Like, this has to be a joke. Someone's messing around with us.
Right.
And as soon as we looked at the email, we saw this email signatures and the phone numbers. We did our research, and we were like, okay, this is a real deal. And luckily, it was.
That's incredible. So you get the call, you arrange everything so that you're going to be casted. So did they give you any tips as far as like, hey, you got to be ready for XYZ, or is it completely up to you when you're about to be on that show to be prepared?
Yeah, I mean, they do a really great job getting prepared. So they're very hands-on. They actually give you like your own personalized team that just kind of works with you to get things right. They don't do any work for you by any means, but they make sure all your paperwork is filled out. And when you're sending in the pitch videos, they help critique it, but they don't like give you the formula or anything. They just say if this is good or bad. But having their experience and then, when they say that something can be better or scratch this or add this, we listened, we worked collaboratively with them, and they were great up until the day of the shooting. They were still like outside in the parking lot with us, making sure we got everything right.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, and it makes sense that they want their show to be great. And if you have people showing up who aren't prepared, or Mr. Wonderful says you don't know your numbers, no one wants to do a deal with you, that's not great television, right? So I think there's a standpoint of, okay, what is the actual entrepreneurial business, and then also we're doing TV. So when we talk about TV and the show itself, going in, obviously, Daymond John, he's the apparel guy, right? He's the guy who does manufacturing. Was he the one who, and he was the guy who you guys did a deal with on the show, but did you have him in mind ahead of time, or were you thinking we're going to go anywhere, anybody will give us a deal?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely wanted a deal from any of them just because, we thought that any of them would be beneficial to us, but we definitely singled out and targeted Daymond and Mark, of course, because he's the billionaire. And he owns the Mavericks, and we wanted to be able to like trick out the shoes with Maverick logos and all that stuff. But yeah, we got one of two, and we were super happy with getting Daymond because he's the fashion guy, and his stamp of approval in the fashion world means something, carries some weight. So it was great.
Cool. So tell me,
Lori's interest as well.
Yeah, Lori was great.
Her involvement with QVC,
the QVC connection. Yeah.
She had she wasn't prepared or trusted her lack of experience in footwear during the show, what she illustrated, but she was certainly interested in, and we would love to have been partners with her, but this was something that Daymond wanted to take on individually and completely. Yeah,
I think during the episode, Lori is offering something, and she says, well, something along the lines of, is Daymond need to come in with me on this? He says, absolutely not. And
that was a shocker for all of us. We're like, wow, it's really cutthroat up here.
Yeah, how does that feel? So, number one, the show is pretty dramatic. They have, the doors open, and you give the pitch and the music and everything. Obviously, I'm sure that music isn't live. It's probably post-production. But when those doors open and you walk through, man, what is that feeling like?
Yeah, it's like, we were just trying to prepare as best we can so that once we got up there, we looked the part. But so we were even practicing behind those doors. We were like whispering the pitch to each other,
sound check,
making sure it's all good. And then when you say, on 3, those doors open, you have to walk through. Those things open, we just, we have to walk through. And then you have to stand in front of the sharks for a little bit. And even when they said go, I started the pitch, but I was so nervous that it almost like didn't resonate it took me a couple seconds to get going, but I eventually started, and thankfully the pitch went good. The whole episode went good, but it was definitely nerve-wracking, but we just try to stay as confident as possible and not give any energy of not knowing our numbers or
we wanted to make sure that we were exuding like confidence, because they can read right through that. So just before the doors opened, we huddled together, we said a quick prayer, we just understood like the magnitude of the opportunity here. We didn't definitely didn't want to waste this. We were prepared, we knew our numbers. We wanted to be authentic and just genuine, so that we can exude this level of confidence that the Sharks would feel comfortable with us, if we weren't trying to take advantage of them by any stretch. So once the doors open, like, I don't really remember being too nervous. I just, like, obviously I wanted to make sure that we did well, but I felt like we were prepared enough where we would impress the Sharks with the functionality of the shoe, how much you knew about the industry, how much you knew about the product, and it was just going to up to us to make a deal worth both of our whiles.
Yeah, I'm curious about your preparation, because essentially what you did, if you break it down, it's really public speaking, right? It's a public speaking presentation. A few years ago, I did a TED Talk, and it went well because I practiced so much. But the way I practiced, I wrote it, of course, and I would listen to it in the car. So I record it audio and I would like listen to it during my commutes. But the one thing I didn't do that I'm definitely going to do next time that I noticed the moment I got on stage, I didn't do it in front of anybody. Like I didn't get in front of my family and say, hey, let me give this talk and you be the audience. Did you do anything like that? Or what was the preparation beyond just getting your numbers ready and stuff like that?
You know, we always keep some friends around us. So as we practice, you know, we had them record us and we had, you know, get some feedback, but nothing too formal where we had, we wish we would have had like some, you know, an audience and asking us questions so we were prepared more. But
the producers that we were casting, they pretty much were like the validation that we needed. And that pitch is only, you know, 30 seconds to a minute. So it wasn't like, you know, TED Talk, we were on stage for 45 minutes. It was just like a minute pitch and then Q&A opens right away.
And bouncing ideas off of the producers of the show, you know, I felt like at one point I had to go completely back to the drawing board and recreate the whole thing because I had to remember that it's actually for TV. You know, it's not so formal. You got to be a little bit theatrical, some, you know, just extra, a little bit extra to really get the attention of the Sharks and the producers of the show. So, you know, that's when I went back to the drawing board. I tried to make it a little more fun, a little more engaging. And that's what we did.
That's a good point.
And having Sharks being involved in the pitch is also, you know, a key element there because it's great for television. So inviting a Shark up on the stage or inviting the entire panel up, you definitely want to engage them in a way so that the audience or the viewers can see like a human side. And that's equally important.
Yeah, that's interesting because there's elements there. It is an actual investment pitch, but you're also it's entertainment at the end of the day at the same time. So you do the presentation. I've seen it. You know, Daymond throws Lori under the bus is what I think the title of the video on YouTube there. But you guys do the deal. Congratulations, first of all. But now it's time to do the work, right? So when a company goes in the tank, you have an agreement with the Shark on TV. What is it like now? Because now you've got, you know, people might see that and be like, oh my gosh, you can call him and text anytime. He's sending FUBU gear to the house. You know, you guys are riding around together and he's got all the answers to business. But from what I've heard with my friend who's been in the tank, not quite that way. What is life after the tank actually like?
Hectic. It's a complete 360. I mean, the day that it aired, you know, we were fortunate enough to be, or unfortunate to be, the very first brand to appear on that episode.
Oh wow!
So we didn't really have a moment for it to sink in. I mean, we were hoping that we were towards the end of the show, but we kicked off. So I was surprised. I was like, "Holy crap, that's me!" And then I like froze for a second, and then you just see the traffic, you know, to the website, and that's something that, you know, we had to contact Shopify, let them know what was to be expected, and PayPal and all these payment processors, let them know, you know, not to lock us out. That's just, we have this once in a lifetime opportunity on television. So, you know, just kind of watching the traffic come to the website and all the funnels like working at simultaneously was just something that was a wave of interest. I don't think I may not ever see it again. I mean, it's really hard to replicate just because all of America is watching in, you know, an 8-minute time span. So it was cool to see the level of interest again come to the website, and then they break for commercial, you know, very, very dramatically, and then they cut right back, and then you see us make a deal finally, and then there was an explosion.
Yeah, it was almost like going from a small pond to someone just dropping us in the ocean, and you know, it was a storm going on.
Yeah, no scuba diving equipment,
and without the help of the Sharks, like as we go, as your friend can allude to, can attest to, it's really, we have to navigate the waters like just, you know, with our own, you know, just common sense and how we're gonna do things, because there is really limited help. It's not like they're totally not involved, but there's no like business coaching and being on hands-on. At least, you know, with some of the Sharks it might be like that, but with Daymond, he's so busy doing his own thing, and you know, and then the COVID hit, and I'm sure he had a bunch of obligations to attend to. So, you know, we just try to do it as best we can so that when he does come around and talk and ask us questions, we're right there with positive answers.
Yeah, back to that resourcefulness, you know, just reacting on intuition, you know, putting yourself in a position, if you were a customer, items that you'd want to see, messages that you'd want to read, to make sure that, we were kind of removing ourselves as business owners instead of, replacing ourselves with actual customers so that we can better navigate, the conversation and expectations.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand, Daymond doesn't invest in you to become your business coach, right?
Nope.
It's
Right.
like, here's money, it's for a purpose. He's doing a gazillion other things. And, not only like it's great to have investment, but it's also like they invest in you to make an ROI, right?
Yep.
And because you're going to do what they can't do on their own. And my friend said, yeah, when I reach out to, so-and-so's team, the answer early on was, well, you're an expert on your own business. What would you do?
Yeah.
I'm just providing the capital. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, really?
Cool.
Yeah, we totally take that challenge, and we just want to be able to show him that we can do it with or without any assistance.
Of course, and I think that's incredible. So another thing that I love about your guys' company, you guys really, it appears that you want to help other people, right? And I think that's awesome, because when you can have a platform and you have a product and you can use that to make a positive impact in people's lives, man, that really means a lot. It's inspiring to me personally. Talk a little bit about what you're doing with donating some of your footwear.
Yeah, so really on the onset the COVID outbreak in April, we wanted to do something. So, the first thing we thought about is, why not donating pairs? So we visited a nearby hospital. We donated about 50 pairs there, but then we took it a step further and we're like, you know what? I mean, these heroes are really making the ultimate sacrifice each and every day by, just sacrificing their health on the front lines and making sure that they're doing their best to combat this coronavirus. So
Yeah.
We outfitted a pair, which we call the Hero Blue Edition, and it's
Nice.
uniquely the same as any product, but it's distinctly different by the insole is comprised of a word cloud with words closely associated within the industry, like hero, bravery, community, love. And then we have a pull tab that reads, love recognizes no boundaries.
Cool.
For the viewers that are able to see it. So,
Yeah.
And then we discount them by 50%. So we donated pairs here in New Jersey to Hackensack and also Hoboken. And
Cool.
ABC was fortunate enough they had caught wind of our first donation to Hackensack and then brought a camera crew and filmed and documented our donation to the medical or doctors and nurses over in Hoboken. We were able to meet the mayor of Hoboken and just also provide food and water, and we still felt like that wasn't enough. So we're continuing to donate. Those that are interested and are looking for footwear and food and water, please message us at pressrelations@moves.co or send us a direct message on Instagram.
Yeah, that's great. I think the the term for that, somebody coined it, is like compassionate capitalism or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool. I'm a big believer in, what a brand can do. Brands, I mean, startups may not have a ton of money, but brands, when they generate revenue, they're able to either take that money or that energy, that buzz around their brand or the physical products, and really help people who wouldn't have it otherwise. What was the reaction to the people who you were giving shoes to and providing discounts for?
Oh, they were so happy, especially the doctors and nurses that they're in there all day. It's hard for them to really feel the appreciation. So when we brought them outside, we started to put them in their new shoes. They were taking their Crocs off, sliding into our more comfortable shoes. They're on their feet all day, so
right.
It was perfect. It was a perfect thing to do. It felt great doing it, and we're going to continue to do it as much as we can going forward.
That's awesome. And I know sustainability is part of what you guys feel very strongly about. Talk a little bit about the sustainability with your product.
Yeah, sustainability was really built into the product design, just the versatility of it, and allowing for you to not have to buy as many shoes. You don't have to buy a bunch of slippers, sandals, slides. It's kind of just like a one shoe that will be able to do multiple things. So it saves on waste. But we're focusing the initiatives on the materials themselves. Now that we have a little more capital to experiment, we're going to try to make our source our materials more responsibly and just create a more sustainable business altogether. We started with the packaging because that was an easy transition, but now it's going on the shoes too.
So what was the packaging made of originally, and what is it made of now? How does that work?
Originally, there were some really nice matte black boxes.
Plastic.
They had
Magnets.
plastic inside. They had magnets. It was outfitted like crazy because we felt like packaging was super important, and we didn't want to lose the aesthetic of the packaging, but we definitely needed to make it more sustainable. So, and the older packaging you also had to put in other boxes to then send out so that the package themselves didn't get destroyed. So now we're shipping the same packaging that we're putting the shoes in. They're made out of 100% recyclable cardboard, and they're sealed so that once they're in that packaging, they're sent out in that same packaging. No extra materials, no extra waste.
That's cool. I'm a big believer in packaging. I know I had the first CEO of Beats by Dre on the podcast, Susan Paley, and she's now with Drop Labs. That's actually the episode you guys watched. And what struck me both with Beats and Drop Labs is the packaging and that presentation. There's something about it, right? Where you get that box, you open it up, and you're like, this is worth the money that I mean, even when it's not the product itself, there's just that. I love that, I don't know, that take on design and stuff. And I think, Ryan, this is something that sounds like you have an expertise in, that beyond just actually the product on your feet, what is that whole experience with the brand, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that has inspired you or to make the brand what it is today?
Well, I mean, we've always wanted to make sure that our marketing and our brand narrative really reflects our customer base, which is super diverse and inclusive.
Yeah.
So making sure, we cast models of all genders and ethnicities is something that we've always kind of prided ourselves on. As we're Hispanic, we want to make sure that, we're speaking, or we're a platform for everybody.
Sure.
So that was something that we still take a lot of pride in. And trying to replicate and duplicate a lot of the success that these other bigger brands are experiencing, watching kind of all their trajectory, watching their flagship stores open, and that's something that we've always aspired to do. And they've grown in scale rather quickly while being sustainable.
Right.
So a few brands that we watch really closely and we want to reflect internally is something that we're always kind of keeping our eye on.
Yeah, we just want to send that message of inspiration, positivity. Just the name MUVEZ itself. Just we want people to be able to, move and move forward. Chase their dreams. Continue on their pursuit, whatever that pursuit is. If it's that being an entrepreneur or just being happy, whatever it is for you. We just want you to move towards that and just do it in our shoes, I guess.
And do it freely.
Heck yeah, making moves. You guys are quite literally making moves. MUVEZ Footwear, I guess.
Exactly.
Something that when I was I have a marketing degree, and so when I was in school, one of the things that was just like this eye-opening moment was we were studying benchmarking brands and stuff, and they're like, if you're not number one, a strategy that a lot of brands employ, they just look at what the industry leader does and they copy it. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's and it's a little more complex than that. But I think what's super cool is, you guys are taking some of the best of what you've seen from some of these brands that you love, implementing that, but making it your own with your own unique product. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a quote from Bruce Lee that I live by.
Okay.
He mentions where, while he was trying to craft his own karate, he was absorbing what was useful, he was discarding what was useless, and then he was introducing something that was uniquely his own.
I love that.
And that's something that we pride ourselves on each and every day.
That's cool. Yeah, because there's that perspective that you're not going to make anything new, everything's been thought of before. And I think there's a little bit of truth to that, as far as there's been a lot that's created, but all it takes is a little shift, a little twist, something like exactly the product you've developed that can solve the solution of comfortable footwear in the house and then durable footwear outside. Well, I know this is your first version of the shoe. What are some of the challenges when it comes to scaling that? I can imagine that in my mind, not having any experience with it, of course, I'm like, okay, you just do the same thing a second time, but I'm sure it's probably a multitude of things to start adding these additional products.
Yeah, well, as you are on this route to scalability, you want to make sure that you have operations in place that are scalable. So making
Yes.
sure your 3PL is at capacity, making sure you're revamping customer service and making new hires because you're in preparation for these influx of customers. So, and with respect to operation, again, you want to make sure that the operations you have in place are scalable. And then two, making sure that the marketing meets the brand narrative and everything's very succinct. So whatever you're communicating through on your website, it echoes what you're communicating on email, also through text, and then whatever content you're promoting on social media all echoes the same thing. You want to make sure that the messaging is very consistent. So the V2 is gonna follow in a lot of footsteps that the V1 has already kind of established, but at the same time, we want to introduce ourselves to the younger demographic, the younger market, and to make sure that it's more about now being outside, when compared to V1 was very much sheltering in place.
And one of the biggest challenges, as always, is the capital behind the project. So
you do notice that a lot of the money is oftentimes tied in capital. So it's there, which causes some restraints on the marketing end. So you want to make sure that there's a healthy balance of both. You don't want to be left with all these outstanding orders. You want to make sure you have inventory stateside, but at the same time have money for marketing. It's a very fine line.
Yeah, that's a great point. A mentor of mine shared with me one time. He said most companies fail because they haven't built their company in a way to scale. Like
Right.
You've built it in such a way where it's like, yeah, if we're two brothers, we're doing this thing, maybe a few other people sort of thing. But then when it comes time, you don't have these scalable processes and that vision, those mentors in place to help take you to the next level. I am curious, with your experience, how long have you guys been doing this business?
4 years.
4 years. So in the 4 years, what is 1, 2, 3 things you've identified that are crucial in building a company that you think the audience would benefit from?
Taking care of the customer is the number one priority for us, and that's obviously customer service with orders, but also on social media platforms. If people are commenting or reaching out, make sure you get right back. And not just with automated messages, like be personal. Really have your personality shine through the social media, because no one just wants to talk to a robot. They want to talk to actual, person behind the brand. So
Good point.
Yeah, customers first is definitely something that we strongly believe in here.
Yeah. Two, I guess when you're building a small team, to make sure that it is a collaborative environment that, we had discussed earlier. When you're bringing on someone on board, whether it's a co-founder or how executive, make sure you have a diversification of skill sets. You don't need someone that is equally as skilled in a certain area as you are. You want to make sure that you also respect each other's disciplines, not to cross boundaries, and make sure that the person you're hiring, you're entrusting to do that job. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to get done.
Yes, that's a good point. Execution, right?
Yeah, because everybody has an idea, man. John, you know this. Like, there's
I got a ton of ideas, guys.
But what are you able to accomplish? And execute. That's all the difference.
Yeah, and I guess the third one, at least for me, would be just to kind of always be learning in your field, whatever that is, and just equipping yourself with new knowledge all the time. Things change constantly; they change super fast. So being able to pivot and make changes on the fly, and it all comes down to your experience, but as well as who you're being around, what type of things you're learning, and who you're reaching out to, connecting with. That's like how I reached out to you, and we were talking about gaming, and now we're learning a little bit about the gaming market because you're sharing that with us. So just constantly, just always try to learn. Yeah, every step of the way.
Mine would be to never detract from innovation. We don't ever stop innovating and continue to brainstorm ideas and concepts so that we're, again, pioneering the market, because right now, in a lot of ways, we are the dominant brand in the indoor slipper space. So we want to make sure that, that's solidified and we're establishing ourselves.
Yeah, just so everyone listening knows that first brand that had the dual sole technology in the market, they no longer have that. They're just slippers now. So we're the only ones.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Knocked him out. Well done.
One up, one down.
Well, your point about innovation, I heard Jeff Bezos say one time, and there's probably few people in business who have better advice than him with his success. But he was talking about how they had just had a great quarter. Their quarterly results came out. And he said, yeah, so-and-so is congratulating me on a great quarter. But he said, but that was baked 3 years ago. And right now we're working, and he's like, so, not to be cocky, but like we knew that was going to be good. Like we really worked through that. And like, I haven't thought about that for a minute. Right now we're working for the quarter 3 years from now and really doing our due diligence to make sure that that's going forward. So
yeah, it's powerful too. I mean, you said it yourself, Jeff Bezos is very accomplished and there's no better advice coming directly from him. So, I think we continue just to, like had Ryan alluded to earlier, we're trying to learn and absorb as much information as possible. We don't, while we're working the 9 to 5 grind or 9 to 9 grind, very rarely we're listening to music or listening to a podcast or a master class.
Sure.
Just possibly listening or tuning in to Clubhouse because, I can't learn anything new from Pandora, but there's
That's a good point.
There's a lot of apps that are easily accessible that we can tap into and gain some knowledge from.
I love that. Well, I love what you guys are doing. It's a super cool brand. You have an amazing story. My brother is my best friend, and so while we don't do business together, it's super cool for me to see how you guys are collaborating, doing this together. Why don't you tell the audience how they can get a hold of you when they need to just follow you and also when they need to pick up a fresh pair?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find us on all social media handles at MUVEZ. That's spelled MUVEZ. We're online. Our online store is moves.co, moves.co, or moves.com. But yeah, MUVEZ.co. Reach out, DM us, whatever.
We're usually tackling the DMs, so you'll be hearing directly from us.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Cool. Well, thank you again for joining us here on the DLC Drop podcast. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much,
having us,
Sean.
Sean.
This was great.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the DLC Drop podcast. This podcast is part of the Esports Futuri Podcast Network and produced by Innovation Media Enterprises. Make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast channel and leave us a review.